It's so hard to build a successful career in the rap industry, but it's surprisingly easy to lose it all. These rappers were at their peak when they did something mind-blowingly stupid and destroyed their entire career. You won't believe how they did it. These are some of the most surprising stories of rappers destroying their own lives with one wrong move. We've saved the most controversial story for last, so stick with us. Diddy.
Sean Diddy Combs.
Sean Diddy Combs.
Sean Diddy Combs.
It's no secret that one of the most famous rappers of all time is in seriously hot water right now. And it seems to be getting worse every day.
I lost a lot of street cred. Okay?
He's currently in jail, but the list of things he's accused of is growing. And it's fair, this is one of the biggest falls from grace the world has ever seen. Diddy has somehow avoided this for decades. He's been accused of all kinds of violent behavior since the early 90s, even being linked to the shooting of Jay Robles back in 1995. So he's lucky he got away with it for so long. So what really caused the trouble he's in now? In 2023, his ex-girlfriend Cassie filed a lawsuit against him, claiming he'd abused her for years. They eventually settled out of court, but she had started something. After that, there was a landslide of people coming forward to claim that Diddy had abused them, sexually, emotionally, and physically. The people claiming these things were ex-girlfriends, ordinary people, teenagers, and even the producer of Diddy's Love album. The raid on his two homes went out live, but the final nail in the coffin was a video. After Diddy denied Cassie's claims that he was abusive, CCTV footage was found by CNN. The whole world watched it in horror. The deeply disturbing video shows Diddy chasing Cassie down a hotel corridor, before catching up to her and violently kicking her, then dragging her back down the hallway with him. After seeing that, nobody could defend Diddy anymore. There are now a breathtaking 120 new lawsuits against him, all from people claiming he sexually abused them. And horrifyingly, the youngest accuser is just 9 years old.
I was 9 years old at the time.
But it might get even worse. The lawyer representing them says that a whopping 3,000 people have come to him with similar stories. We'll have to wait to find out how bad this really was, but we do know one thing for sure: Diddy's definitely destroyed his career. But the next rapper on the list proves that you don't need to commit terrible crimes against thousands of people to end your career. You just need to do one weird thing to one person. T.I. T.I. had one of the best careers a rapper could wish for. He went gold, had several singles reach #1, and had worked with stars like Rihanna and Pharrell Williams. He even got to act in Marvel movies, which would have introduced him to a whole new mainstream audience that some rappers never have the chance to reach. So what did he do to throw it all away? You'll be surprised to hear it wasn't all his run-ins with the law that ended his career, even though there were a lot of them. It wasn't even that time that he said you couldn't elect a woman as president because they're too emotional to negotiate with and might set off a nuclear bomb as a rash decision. Instead, he went on a more unique route to career destruction by disgusting all of his fans. On the Facebook podcast Red Table Talk, T.I. casually admitted he made his teenager daughter have virginity tests. He'd take her to a professional gynecologist and specifically request he perform the tests. For the record, the World Health Organization has made it clear that these tests are not only medically unnecessary, but also unreliable, traumatic, humiliating, and even painful. In other words, they're pretty bad. Obviously, T.I.'s fans knew that already because they were horrified to hear he'd been doing this. But he doubled down, saying it was okay because he wasn't in the room when the gynecologist performed the tests. We don't know how he thought that made it better, but his fans didn't agree. And it only made them angrier when he later admitted that was a lie. It turned out he had been in the room during these tests when she was younger. But that created a whole new question for the people who were shocked by this story. If she was only 18 when T.I. admitted to this on that podcast, then how young was she when it all started? T.I.'s daughter, Deja, had the answer. She revealed in an interview on T.I.'s own family VH1 show, T.I. and Tiny, Friends and Family Hustle, that she'd been forced to do this since she was just 14.
It's been going on since probably 14 or 15.
She also made it very clear that she had no choice about it and couldn't refuse because of her age. She also said that she was very embarrassed about it. The final nail in the coffin for T.I. was when she said that it had changed her relationship with him forever, and that she wanted to be a better parent than he was, before saying she was trying not to think about it. That was it. His fans had fully turned against him, and so had his colleagues. He has released one album since, but it was the first album he'd ever released without a record label. He had to put it out himself because nobody really wanted to be involved with him anymore. And who can blame them after he admitted to this cruel and bizarre behavior? T.I. was definitely wrong, but this next rapper on our list is very different. He had one of the weirdest ways of getting famous ever before he blew it all in an equally unbelievable way. This story is so out there, it's almost hard to believe. Superstar Pride. This rapper rose to fame in one of the most unexpected ways you can imagine. In 2020, he uploaded a track called Painting Pictures, and nobody saw it. We guess he figured that was just a mistake because 2 years later, he uploaded a music video for the same track. Again, it pretty much went totally unnoticed. Another 5 months later, he tried again. This time, he created a TikTok account and uploaded a clip from the music video. This time, it blew up. But it wasn't going viral because everyone loved the music. Instead, everyone was obsessed with his crazy hairstyle. It started in the comments on the video, with people making jokes about his haircut. Then people started recreating the video with weirder and weirder things taped to the back of their heads, as another way to make fun of the haircut. But even though people were technically making fun of him, it was making him famous. The song got over 100 million listens on Spotify. The music video had another 30 million views on YouTube, and the song found its way to number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100. Suddenly, he was being offered huge record deals. But if you think the haircut was weird, we haven't even got to the most insane bit of the story. There was a bidding war from record labels who all wanted him, but he chose the independent label United Masters. The label offered Superstar an incredible $3 million to sign him. And this is where his behavior got seriously self-destructive. He said $3 million wasn't enough and refused to sign unless they gave him $5 million. But the label didn't have that much. Who would refuse that kind of money? It's not like he was rich before. It wouldn't matter anyway because just 3 weeks after arguing with the record label, he was arrested. And you won't believe why. We've just covered that his haircut was the real reason for his rise to fame. Nobody knows why, but Superstar Pride was arrested because he walked into his barber's house and gunned him down. Why would he choose to target the man who was responsible for making him famous? We'll probably never know. He hasn't ever told anyone why he did it, and probably never will. But what we do know is that in less than a month, Superstar went from being a rap artist worth $3 million to sitting in prison, possibly with a life sentence. There's no explaining what happened to Superstar Pride, but the next rapper on our list had an even more public meltdown that ruined everything. We just don't know where he got these insane ideas. B.O.B. For a moment, it looked like B.O.B. was gonna become one of the biggest names in rap. He made his name with the hit Airplanes and even appeared with stars like Bruno Mars, hitting the mainstream with Nothing on You. You could say he was on top of the world, only he'd tell you that's impossible. Wait, what? Everything was going great for him until January 2016, when his Twitter activity started to get a little nuts. It began with him revealing he believed the world was flat. No, seriously. One of those tweets said he knew it was true because no matter how high in elevation you are, the horizon is always eye level, before he said he didn't want to believe it either. In other words, he definitely did believe it. This might have slipped under the radar. After all, we've seen this kind of thing before. Except it hadn't caught the attention of a beloved celebrity, the astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. He tried to prove the rapper wrong, and his response started a tiny but seriously unexpected online feud that caught the attention of loads of people. B.O.B. was pretty annoyed by all the people telling him he was wrong, so he hit back with more tweets. This time, he said everyone who didn't believe him had been, quote, indoctrinated into a heliocentric belief system. I think everyone can agree with that. All it means is that those people believe the Earth revolves around the sun. So yeah, when he told everyone to grow up, right, you'd think that would be enough for him. He was clearly already threatening his own career by shouting about conspiracies and insulting most of his fan base. But he doubled down. This time, he added another classic to his list of conspiracy theories, saying the moon landings were fake. By now, the public backlash had got so bad that he decided to stop talking. A little too late. He also disappeared from the public eye for a bit, until he decided to release a diss track aimed at Neil deGrasse Tyson. It was a pretty insane thing to do after his fight with Tyson got him into all that mess in the first place. But the lyrics took it one step further than an average beef with a celebrity. In the track, he tells his fans to do their research about a man named David Irving. In case you don't know him, he made his name as a Holocaust denier. The lyrics only make that message even clearer by saying that Hitler wasn't as bad as Stalin.
Stalin was way worse than Hitler.
Yeah, it's as bad as it sounds. You've probably guessed this did not go down well with B.O.B.'s fans. It was like he'd gone back to make sure he'd locked the door on his career and threw away the key.
Listen, B.O.B., once and for all. The Earth looks flat because your size isn't large enough relative to Earth to notice any curvature at all.
I guess some people don't want to be famous, and he's not the only one. The next rapper on our list had an even crazier end to his career. And it's so weird it's hard to believe he wasn't actually trying to destroy his career on purpose. You're not gonna believe this. Lil Pump. Lil Pump's choices seem deliberately self-destructive. We don't know that for sure, obviously, but listen to this and see what you think. Lil Pump had a meteoric rise to stardom as part of the SoundCloud rap scene in the late 2010s. He was just 17 years old when his song, Gucci Gang, went quintuple platinum, even though it got pretty bad reviews all around. When news broke that his contract with Warner Records was voided because he was a minor at the time he signed it, other labels jumped in right after his 18th birthday, reportedly offering as much as $12 million for him to join them. People just loved his wild sound and unique look. He was about to become a star. But it wasn't long before it all started sliding downhill. He was arrested for firing a gun in a residential area and lied to the police about it. He was banned from the country of Denmark, and he even released a snippet of a track that was clearly racist towards Asian people. The rap community does not tolerate racism, and that came close to ending his career on its own. But it wasn't the final blow just yet. He still had one more bizarrely self-destructive move up his sleeve. When the 2020 elections rolled around, he decided to endorse Donald Trump. That's pretty weird behavior from a rapper, but the craziness didn't stop there. He deleted an old tweet that said F Donald Trump when it went viral, which made everyone suspicious about why he was really endorsing the candidate. He said it was all because of Biden's tax plans and he wasn't going to pay any extra. Except it turned out he wasn't paying his taxes to start with. In fact, he owed the IRS a whopping $1.6 million in unpaid taxes. But he doubled down and made an appearance at a Trump rally, complete with his own Make America Great Again cap. But it got even weirder when Trump himself called Lil Pump up to speak to the crowd. Well, almost. He called him Little Pimp.
Little Pimp.
But that's close enough, I guess. Well, on the stage, Lil Pump spoke into the microphone and told Trump he was grateful for everything he'd done for the country. Lil Pump instantly lost 300,000 Instagram followers and got tons of abuse online. But get this, while he was throwing his career away by endorsing a political candidate that his fan base hated, it was revealed that he wasn't even registered to vote. This was the nail in the coffin of his career, but he still hasn't learned his lesson. He's endorsing Trump again for the 2024 election, saying he'll leave the country if Harris wins. Only this time, nobody cares. Lil Pump might never have reached real fame. Some say his music was never good enough. But the last rapper on our list already had a pretty stable career until one insane event. Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez was riding high by 2020. His fourth album had just peaked at number 2 in the US, and it looked like he was well on the way to becoming a superstar rapper. He'd even had a feud with Drake, and you don't get much more famous than that. But that wasn't what ended his career. Stick with us because this story is a little crazy. On July 12, 2020, Tory Lanez went to Kylie Jenner's house party with Megan Thee Stallion. After the party, he left with Megan Thee Stallion. But something clearly wasn't right because pictures started spreading that showed a gruesome wound on Megan's foot. At first, she said she'd accidentally stepped on broken glass. But then, why had Lanez been arrested on a felony gun charge? Something weird was definitely going on. It didn't take long for Megan Thee Stallion to go on her Instagram to clear things up. Just 3 days later, she changed the broken glass story and said she'd been shot by Lanez. But could she be trusted? During the trial, it was revealed that there was a love triangle involved with Megan's friend Kelsey. Megan had set her up with Lanez, but as they were leaving the party, Kelsey said that Lanez admitted to a relationship with Megan. And it wasn't the first time Megan had stolen a man from her. Kelsey was happy to admit to all of that, but when it came to talking about the gun or the shooting, she chose to plead the fifth and stayed silent. Weirdly, she was granted immunity, so she couldn't be convicted of any crime even if she admitted to it. But she still stayed silent. Does that sound suspicious to you? There was only one other witness who saw what really happened, the man who called 911. He said he heard arguing and looked out the window. He thinks he saw the flash from the gun that seemed to come from Kelsey before he said a man started shooting too. But there was one problem with his testimony. It was too dark for him to be sure who he saw. It was mostly thrown out in the trial. So, will we ever know what really happened? Some people are sure the jury got it right when they convicted Tory Lanez. Others think that was a huge mistake and he's actually innocent. What do you think? Was it really Kelsey that fired the gun and Megan Thee Stallion is protecting her? These rappers were obviously dumb, but there's more than one way to lose it all. Want to know how these wealthy rappers blew all their cash? Some of these stories are shocking. You won't want to miss it.